We need to think about our future, Dalton. Your car is just sitting there depreciating while we could be building wealth, my wife said, while pressuring me to sell my only transportation for 2 weeks straight. So I posted side-by-side photos of me waiting at bus stops in 110-degree heat next to her Vegas strip club Instagram stories with our car money. I am Dalton, 30, 1M, warehouse supervisor here in Phoenix. Been married to Kinsley, 28F, for 4 years. I make about $58K managing shipping operations. She works part-time reception, making maybe $15K annually. We have been financially stable, not rich, but comfortable. I owned a 2018 Honda Civic that I would completely paid off. Reliable transportation. Great gas mileage. Perfect for my 25-minute commute to the warehouse district. Kinsley's always been obsessed with appearances and social media bullshit. She follows all these lifestyle influencers and constantly compares our life to her friend Madison, who recently divorced some tech guy and walked away with a $200K. Madison's constantly posting about expensive dinners, shopping sprees, weekend trips to Scottsdale resorts. It drives Kinsley absolutely crazy that we cannot afford that lifestyle. Madison's group is going to Vegas next month, Kinsley mentioned for the 3rd time that week. 4 days at the Four Seasons. It sounds amazing. I could see where this was heading. Every time Madison planned something expensive, Kinsley would get sulky and resentful about our financial limitations. How much does something like that cost? I asked, already dreading the answer. It is not about the money, she said quickly. It is about the experience. Madison says she will cover most of it anyway. That was code for I want to go, but we cannot afford it. And I am going to make your life miserable until you figure out how to pay for it. The pressure campaign started innocently enough. We never have money for anything fun, she would sigh while scrolling through Madison's Instagram. Other couples our age are building wealth and having experiences. We are just surviving paycheck to paycheck. Which wasn't even true. We had a solid emergency fund and no debt besides the mortgage. Then she discovered Pinterest boards about personal finance and became obsessed with wealth building. Suddenly, she was an expert on investment strategies and asset management. Your car is a depreciating asset, Dalton. Every month you keep it, you are losing money. We should liquidate it and put that capital to work for our future. Liquidate it? It is a Honda Civic, not a stock portfolio. And it is paid off. No monthly payment. Exactly. So the equity is just sitting there doing nothing. If we sold it for $12K and invested that money wisely, it could be worth $20K in 5 years. That is real wealth building. This went on for 2 solid weeks. Every morning over coffee, she would bring up some new angle about why keeping the car was financially irresponsible. Phoenix has great public transportation, she would say, despite never having taken a bus in her life. Think about the insurance savings, the gas money, the maintenance costs. We could save thousands annually. The manipulation got more intense when logic didn't work. If you really loved me and cared about our future together, you would prioritize our financial growth over convenience. Other husbands make sacrifices for their families. Why cannot you? The guilt trips, the emotional manipulation, the constant pressure. I was exhausted. Finally, I caved. Fine. If it is that important to you, I will sell the car, but I want to see this investment plan you keep talking about. Show me exactly where this money is going. Of course, I have been researching index funds and ETFs. We will set up a proper investment account and everything. This is going to change our financial future. Dalton, you will see. I posted the car online that weekend. Clean title, maintenance records, 1 owner. It sold within 3 days for $12,000 cash. Claimed the money to Kinsley, feeling sick to my stomach about giving up my independence. But she was so excited about our investment future that I thought maybe I was being too attached to material possessions. This is it, baby, she said, counting the cash. Our first real step toward financial freedom. I am so proud of you for prioritizing our future over convenience. Monday morning, I discovered what taking the bus to work actually meant. The Phoenix metro system is designed for people who have nowhere important to be. My 25-minute drive became an hour and 20-minute odyssey involving 2 transfers and a half-mile walk in triple-digit heat. 5:30 a.m. alarm instead of 6:45. Standing at a bus stop with no shade while the Arizona sun tried to murder me. Arriving at work sweaty, exhausted, and already dreading the evening commute home. My coworkers immediately noticed the change. "Where is your car, man?" asked Riker, one of my shipping coordinators. "Sold it. We are trying to build wealth instead of spending money on depreciating assets," I said, repeating Kinsley's bullshit talking points. Riker looked at me like I had lost my mind. "Dude, you live in Phoenix. Public transportation here is like trying to get around on a pogo stick. You are gonna suffer." He was right. Week 1 was hell. Week 2 was worse. By week 3, I was questioning every life choice that had led me to standing at bus stops in 110-degree weather, while my wife sat in our air-conditioned house working her part-time schedule. Every few days, I would ask about the investment account. "When are we setting that up? I want to see our money starting to grow." Kinsley always had excuses. "I am still comparing platforms to find the best returns. The market's volatile right now, waiting for the right entry point. Need to research tax implications first." Then exactly 3 weeks after I sold my car, Kinsley came home from work practically vibrating with excitement. "Madison finalized the Vegas trip. 4 days, leaving this Thursday. She invited me, and I said yes." I stared at her from the couch where I was icing my feet after another brutal bus commute. "Vegas trip. Where is the money for that coming from?" "Madison's covering most of it, remember? I just need spending money and my flight. Maybe $2,000 total." "We don't have $2,000 in spending money. Our budget is tight, and our investment money should stay invested. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Dalton. Madison's divorce settlement will not last forever. This is our chance to experience something amazing together." "Together? I am not going. I cannot even get to work without public transportation. You are being dramatic. It is just 4 days, and I already moved some money around to cover the trip. Everything's handled." "Moved money around from where?" "It is complicated financial stuff. Trust me, everything's fine." Thursday morning, I watched Kinsley leave for Vegas with designer luggage I didn't remember buying, heading to an airport I couldn't drive her to because I had sold my car for our future. She kissed me goodbye and promised to be careful with spending. That weekend was the longest 3 days of my life. Sitting alone in our house, taking the bus to get groceries, watching Netflix while my wife lived it up in Sin City. But I told myself this was an investment in our relationship. She deserved a break, and Madison was covering most expenses anyway. Then I saw her Instagram stories. Friday, first-class seats on the plane with champagne. Vegas, here we come, living our best life. #Vegas baby. Friday night. Dinner at Gordon Ramsay Hell's Kitchen. The bill in the background showed $347 for 2 people. #worth it and living large. Saturday. Shopping montage at the Forum Shops. Gucci bags, Louis Vuitton accessories, designer everything. Retail therapy hits different in Vegas. #treat yourself. Saturday night. VIP table at a strip club with bottle service. The receipt visible in one photo showed $680 for premium vodka. Girls' night out, no limits. I sat on my couch in stunned silence, calculating the costs. That dinner alone was more than my weekly bus pass budget. The shopping spree looked like thousands of dollars. The strip club tab was more than our monthly grocery budget. This wasn't Madison covering most expenses. This was Kinsley spending like she had won the lottery. And suddenly, I knew exactly where the lottery money had come from. I grabbed my laptop and checked our bank statements. The $12,000 from my car sale had been transferred to Kinsley's personal account the day after I gave it to her. There was no investment account. There were no index funds. There was just my wife spending our future wealth on bottle service and designer purses while I waited for buses in the desert heat. But what I discovered when she got home Sunday night made me realize this wasn't just financial betrayal. This was a complete systematic deception that had been planned from the moment Madison announced her Vegas trip. And my wife had played me like a fiddle. Update 1. Holy shit. The last few days have been a complete nightmare. Sorry for the delayed update. Had to get a ride to the library to use their Wi-Fi because our internet got cut off. Turns out Kinsley had been reallocating our utility money too. But more on that later. Sunday night when she got home from Vegas, I was waiting on the couch with our laptop open to bank statements and her Instagram feed side by side. She walked in dragging designer shopping bags, looking tan and relaxed, like she had just returned from a spa retreat. "How was your weekend, baby?" she asked sweetly, like she hadn't just blown our entire car fund on bottle service and luxury shopping. "Expensive," I said, not looking up from the laptop. "How much did you spend in Vegas?" "Barely anything. Madison covered almost everything, like I told you. I maybe spent $200 on souvenirs." She held up a small keychain. "See, just little things." I turned the laptop screen toward her. "Want to explain this $347 dinner bill you posted on Instagram? Or the $680 strip club receipt? Or explain why our $12,000 car money is gone from the bank?" The color drained from her face instantly. She looked like a deer in headlights, but a deer that had been caught red-handed robbing a bank. Those numbers look bigger than they actually were. Vegas prices are inflated, and the bank thing is complicated. I moved money around for investment purposes like we discussed. Moved it around where? Kinsley, show me the investment account. Show me our index funds. Show me one piece of evidence that our car money went anywhere besides your Vegas spending spree. That is when she broke down and started crying. But not remorseful crying. Manipulative crying. The kind of tears designed to make me feel bad for confronting her. I was going to pay it back. Madison promised she'd cover my expenses. But when we got there, she said everyone had to pay their own way. I was stuck. I couldn't look poor in front of her friends. "So you decided to steal our car money instead of coming home." "It wasn't stealing. It was our money. I just used it differently than we originally planned." "Our money, I earned that money. I sold my car. You work 20 hours a week at a reception desk. I contribute to this household too. I do all the emotional labor, all the planning, all the you do jack shit. You convinced me to sell my car so you could fund your Vegas vacation. I am taking the bus to work in 110-degree heat so you could get bottle service at strip clubs." Then she said something that made me realize our marriage was over. "You are being dramatic. It was just one trip. We will figure out transportation later. You act like your convenience is more important than my happiness." My convenience, taking the bus for an hour and a half each way in brutal heat, was convenience, but her $680 strip club tab was essential for her happiness. I grabbed my phone and did something I should have done 3 weeks ago. I posted a side-by-side comparison on Instagram. A photo of me waiting at a bus stop in 110-degree heat, next to a screenshot of her strip club bottle service receipt. Caption: "She convinced me to sell my car for our financial future." Our future was her Vegas girls trip. The response was immediate and brutal. My coworkers, neighbors, friends, family, everyone who had been watching me struggle with public transportation for 3 weeks, while she was posting luxury vacation content. The comments were savage. "Bro, she played you hard. This is financial abuse. Get a lawyer immediately. She stole your car money for bottle service? That is insane." Within 6 hours, the post had been shared over 200 times. People were tagging Madison and her friend group, asking if they knew they had enabled theft. The Vegas trip that was supposed to boost Kinsley's social status became a public humiliation. Madison actually commented on the post. "For the record, I told everyone they needed to budget $3,000 for the trip. I never promised to cover anyone's expenses." So much for the Madisons covering everything lie. But the social media exposure was just the beginning. Monday morning at work, my boss called me into his office. I was sure I was getting fired for the transportation issues and tardiness from 3 weeks of bus hell. "Dalton, I saw your Instagram post. That is some bullshit your wife pulled. Here is what we are going to do." He handed me the keys to a company truck. "Use this until you get back on your feet, and there is a $5K emergency advance available if you need help getting a car." My coworkers had chipped in too. Riker handed me an envelope with $800 cash for a down payment on something reliable. Nobody should have to take the bus because their wife stole their car money for Vegas. Meanwhile, Kinsley was getting destroyed online. Her part-time job found out about the financial fraud when her manager saw the viral post. Someone who steals from their husband probably steals from the register. her boss told her while firing her on the spot. That evening, she came home crying and raging about how I had humiliated her publicly and ruined her life over one mistake. According to her, I was the villain for exposing her theft instead of handling it privately. One mistake: you manipulated me for 2 weeks, stole $12,000, lied about investment accounts, and spent our money on strip clubs while I suffered through public transportation. That is not one mistake. That is a systematic betrayal. I was trying to have one good experience. Madison's group has money, and I wanted to fit in. You don't understand the pressure of having successful friends when your husband makes $58K. So you stole from your husband to impress your rich friends. How is that working out for you now? That is when she completely lost it and started screaming about how I had destroyed her reputation and her friendships. Apparently, Madison's entire friend group had cut her off after the public exposure. No one wanted to be associated with someone who would steal from their spouse for vacation money. But I was just getting started. Because what I discovered the next day proved that the Vegas theft was just the tip of the iceberg, and my wife had been systematically draining our finances for months while planning this elaborate con. Update 2: this gets so much worse. You guys, I am writing this from a hotel because I cannot stand being in the same house as this woman anymore. After the public Instagram explosion, I decided to do a complete audit of our finances. What I found made me sick to my stomach and explained a lot of small things that hadn't made sense over the past 6 months. Remember how I mentioned our internet got cut off? Turns out Kinsley had been skipping utility payments for 2 months to save money for Vegas. Our electric bill was 3 months behind. Our water was about to be shut off. She had been moving money around. All right, away from our actual responsibilities and into her vacation fund. But it gets worse. I found a notebook in her dresser drawer titled Vegas Budget Planning. This psychopath had been calculating trip expenses and strategizing how to get the money for over 2 months. The car sale wasn't a last-minute decision. It was the end goal of a long con. The first page detailed her calculated expenses: $800 for the flight, $600 for her share of the hotel room, $500 budgeted for food, $1,500 for shopping, and $2,000 for entertainment. She had totaled it up to $5,400 needed. Scrawled in red ink across the page. The second page outlined her backup plan, where she had written that Madison covering everything was a complete lie. Everyone would have to pay their own way, and she needed a minimum of $3,500. Below that were bullet points listing her strategy. Dalton's car was worth $12,000. She could use the investment excuse, frame it as their financial future, and appeal to his sense of responsibility. She would literally written out her manipulation strategy: how to psychologically pressure me into selling my car, how to frame theft as investment planning, how to make me feel guilty for prioritizing transportation over her vacation dreams. Page 3 was the most damning a timeline. Week 1, start investment conversations. Week 2, increase pressure, guilt tactics. Week 3, close the deal, get car sold. Week 4, Vegas trip, with little smiley faces drawn next to each milestone. This wasn't impulse spending or poor judgment. This was premeditated financial fraud with me as the target. She had been studying my psychology, crafting her lies, planning her manipulation for months. I confronted her with the notebook Wednesday night. Her reaction wasn't shame or remorse. It was anger that I had violated her privacy by going through her things. You planned this for months. You systematically manipulated me into selling my car so you could party in Vegas with your rich friends. So what if I planned it? You never would have agreed if I had been honest about what I wanted. Sometimes you have to be strategic to get what you need in a marriage. Strategic? You mean lying and stealing? I borrowed money from my own household to have one good experience. You act like I robbed a bank. You did rob a bank. You robbed the Bank of Dalton. Then she said something that showed me exactly who I had married. You make good money, but you have no vision, no ambition. You are content being mediocre forever. I have dreams and goals that require investment in experiences and networking. The Vegas trip was business development. Busyness development. You got bottle service at a strip club. What kind of business were you developing there? You wouldn't understand. You think success means clocking in and out like a robot while I am trying to build connections and expand our social network with successful people. That is when I realized she viewed our entire marriage as a business arrangement, where my income funded her lifestyle ambitions. I wasn't her partner. I was her personal ATM and transportation provider. Thursday morning, I filed for divorce. I had already been staying at a hotel near work, using the company truck my boss lent me, so I just made it permanent. Found a lawyer who specializes in financial fraud within marriages. When the divorce papers were served Friday afternoon, Kinsley called me screaming about how I was overreacting to one mistake and destroying our marriage over money. She genuinely believed that systematically manipulating and stealing from your spouse was a minor marital hiccup. You planned this for months, Kinsley. You wrote out manipulation strategies. You stole utility money for vacation funds. This isn't one mistake. This is who you are. Fine. If you want to throw away 4 years of marriage because I had one fun weekend, that is your loss. You will regret this when you are alone and miserable. Alone and miserable sounded pretty good compared to married to a lying thief. Meanwhile, the social media exposure had completely destroyed her reputation. Madison's friend group wouldn't associate with her anymore. Her former coworkers were sharing the story. Neighbors were talking. She would become the cautionary tale of Phoenix suburbs, the woman who stole her husband's car money for Vegas bottle service. Her family found out when her sister saw the viral Instagram post. Her mom called me to apologize and say they had no idea she was capable of such manipulation. They offered to testify in divorce proceedings if needed. But the best karma came this weekend. Madison posted her own Instagram story about the Vegas trip. Essay: when I invite people on vacation, everyone pays their own way. I am not anyone's sugar mama. Don't use me as an excuse to steal from your spouse. With Kinsley tagged in it, the comments were brutal. Kinsley Hayes stole from her husband to fund this trip. She told him you were covering expenses. This woman is a financial predator. Her social media presence was completely destroyed. She tried to fight back with her own post claiming I was financially abusing her by controlling household money and preventing her from having experiences. The response was even worse. People started sharing screenshots of her Vegas expenses next to photos of me at bus stops. But there is one more revelation in this final update that shows just how deep her deception went and proves that I wasn't her husband. I was her mark in a long-term financial con game. Final update 6 months later, and my life has completely transformed. The divorce was finalized last month, and I wanted to give you guys the resolution you deserve after following this insane journey. Thanks to documented evidence of fraud, I kept the house, retirement accounts, and savings. Kinsley left with her belongings and $2,000. The judge was disgusted by her planning notebook and lack of remorse. I bought a 2019 Corolla with money from coworkers and my savings. Having transportation again felt like freedom after months of bus hell. My boss was so impressed. He promoted me to operations manager with a $15,000 raise and gave me permanent use of the company truck. During divorce discovery, my lawyer subpoenaed Kinsley's records. What we found was systematic manipulation dating back years. She had a secret Pinterest board called Lifestyle Goals, with budgets for trips I had never heard of. Cabo for $4,000, Napa Valley for $2,500, Miami for $3,800, all with detailed extraction strategies. Her texts with Madison revealed the truth. Madison tolerated her, didn't like her. The Vegas invitation came with explicit instructions that everyone pays their own way, minimum $3,500. Kinsley knew she'd need to fund everything herself. Worse, I found evidence of 2 years of small-scale theft. Fake car maintenance, non-existent medical bills, work clothes never bought. Over $6,000 stolen in amounts too small to notice before the big car con. She had been documenting my psychological triggers, how guilt trips worked better than logic, how financial responsibility language made me feel obligated, how my work ethic could be weaponized. I wasn't her husband. I was her mark in a multi-year con. Kinsley's life collapsed completely. She is living with her parents, working at a call center for $13 an hour. Madison's group cut her off. Her dating prospects are destroyed, and anyone who Googles her finds the car theft story. The psychological impact of discovering that my marriage was built on systematic deception took months to process. I went to therapy to deal with the trust issues and learned to recognize manipulation tactics. Understanding that someone you loved was studying you like a psychology experiment really messes with your head. But I have rebuilt more than just my finances. I have rebuilt my ability to trust my instincts. Every red flag I ignored, every gut feeling I dismissed, every moment when something felt wrong, but I talked myself out of it. I listen to those signals now. Last month, Kinsley tried to reach out through her sister asking if we could talk things through and maybe work toward friendship. She apparently wants to make amends and move forward positively. I told her sister to relay a simple message: block my number permanently. There are consequences for financial fraud. Live with them. People ask if I feel bad about how her life turned out. The answer is absolutely not. She made calculated decisions to systematically manipulate and steal from someone who loved and trusted her. She is dealing with the logical consequences of years of deception and fraud. The Vegas trip she stole my car money for lasted 4 days. The consequences will follow her for the rest of her life. That seems like perfect justice to me.